Okay, I hope you're having fun here coloring your cartoon robot, and hopefully I'm giving you a couple of techniques that you can make use of. You know, I forgot to mention in the previous exercise, those keyboard shortcuts, the open square bracket and the close square bracket, and then your square brackets with shift, those will work for any brush-based tool inside Photoshop. So your rubber stamp tool and pretty much any other tool that would make use of some kind of a brush cursor. So keep that in mind. Okay, now the next thing that I want to show you here is I want to show you an even faster way to paint. I want to show you a technique for painting with more than one color at a time. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on my robot here. Now, I've already mentioned this, but I said that the color that's in the foreground color swatch down at the bottom of the Photoshop toolbox is the color that you're going to paint with, right? But what we can do here is we can actually change that foreground color swatch temporarily. What I'm going to do is I actually want to, for whatever reason, I want to paint with white, or I want to paint with the color that's in the background color swatch again at the bottom of the toolbox. So to get the background color into the foreground color swatch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this curved double-headed arrow there, and that flips the foreground and background color swatches, right? It switches them. So now I can paint with white if I want, maybe to fix up some mistakes or, you know, who the heck knows, right? Something like this. So that's kind of a cool trick that you can do. And then, of course, at any point, I can go back and I can flip back to my gray, and then I can continue painting with gray. Now that's awesome. That's wonderful. But let me show you a couple of other neat things that we can do here. I'm just going to pan up a little bit. I want to paint my robot's shoulder here, and I want to paint the sort of the socket or the connection that connects the chest with the shoulder there. And I want to paint this area in with a dark gray, and then I want to paint the shoulder in the lighter gray, the same gray that I've been using all along. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch my foreground and background color swatches so that the white is in the foreground. And then what I'll do is I'll head back to the swatches panel over on the right hand side, and I'm going to click on the last color swatch in the top row, the 50% gray. Go ahead and click on that fella. Okay, now of course what happens is that guy gets loaded into the foreground color swatch, right? So now I have the dark gray in the foreground, light gray in the background, and now what I can do is I can start painting with this dark gray, something like this, right? Kind of paint in this area. And I'm doing kind of a sloppy job, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of how this works here. So I'm painting in my dark gray area, and then when I'm ready, what I can do is I can switch over to the light gray. Now, what I could do is I could click on that curved double-headed arrow if I wanted to, but I like to work kind of more quickly, right? More efficiently. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a keystroke shortcut. I'm simply going to hit the X key on my keyboard. Now, as you tap your X key multiple times, keep your eyeballs down on the bottom of your toolbox, and you'll notice that what X is doing is it's flipping your foreground and background color swatches, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that the light gray is in the foreground color swatch, and I'm going to start painting in the shoulder here, and then I'll hit the X key again, going back to the dark gray, and then I'll continue painting that dark gray area, right? Something like this. And then when that area is finished, I'll hit the X key again, back to the light gray, right? So that's kind of a neat way to paint with more than one color at a time. And when you combine this with using your square brackets to increase your brush size or decrease your brush size, along with some of the other techniques that I've shown you, all of a sudden your painting starts to happen a lot faster here inside Photoshop. So there you go, a great way to keep a couple of colors sort of at the ready or at hand while you're painting your artwork here inside Photoshop.